And I needed to go inside now, live inside out. And I found that once I went that route, I became a different person
Yeah.
in terms of being grounded, in terms of being connected, in terms of living my truth now, not my parents' truth,
Yeah.
not my family's truth, not society's truth, but truth according to Xoli. I'm just going through all of these things that are not good. I can tell, like, as I say, like things like heaviness, feeling sad, feeling like I'm ready to cry, I'm feeling this thing that is just weighing me down. For example, if I did not have to go to work, then the thought of like taking a bath, eating.
Just doesn't come to mind.
It's like, no, you just want to sit in this one space. My state of being was horrible, obviously, as I say, really, really, really bad. And I can't even put it into word because, as I say, Guti, it's a source that is greater than me that was at play at that time. Because, I mean, I've been coexisting with this thing for years and I have not even done anything that is tangible to change. But suddenly, something bigger than me then intervened because it was almost like I'm waking to myself.
Financial Times has advised that this is a subject that managers in the workplace really need to start paying close attention to, especially dealing with their female employees and staff. Menopause is a subject that my guest today through this episode will take you through her own personal experiences as she encountered this phase of her life at a very least unexpected time of her life. KaMadlala, she has now written a book, The Perimenopausal Globetrotter, which details her personal experience, her personal story, and how she struggled with premature menopause. This book also covers the research on the same subject and shows that the subject continues to be under research. She has also been nominated as the best author by Emerge Africa Awards. And today, Xoli spends most of her time speaking and championing conversations about menopause. She's been awarded an opportunity to speak at various multiple events where she continues to emerge as an individual that seeks to be a champion of this subject, but also making sure that she advises even men to be more interested into this subject. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for choosing this podcast. The name of my podcast is Break It Down with Elvis, Molefi, Molf. And in this podcast, I invite human beings who are passionate to break down subjects that cover religion, history, politics, self-mastery, the life of arts and culture, finance, and biological science as well. Today, I've got an interesting guest. Her name is KaMadlala or KaMadlala. She will tell us exactly how do we pronounce that one. She wrote a book. It's called The Perimenopausa Globetrotter. And it's a subject that, some of you might say it's a new subject right here on the show. But I'm more passionate to explore different subjects. And I think she's going to take us through that today. Xoli, how are you doing?
I'm great, and how are you?
I'm well. Actually, I'm not well because you didn't want to play my icebreaker game, but it's fine. I understand that. Today, inviting you on the podcast, you and I met last year at the book festival, and just engaging with you for that little time, I understood that, at some point we'll have to have this kind of a sit down and break down a whole lot of things. It was actually the first time I heard about the entire term of menopause. And I'm here to ask you to actually tell us what exactly is menopause. But before we get to that, let's get to the life of KaMadlala and menopause. Why did you even choose to write about this subject? But before that, I'd love for you to just read us a statement, which is, of course, a statement that we always do in the beginning of the show.
Awesome. All right. Hello to all the viewers. My name is KaMadlala. I'm guest number 4. By participating in this engagement today with Elvis, Molefi, Molf, I hereby give consent to the platform to publish this conversation via relevant audio and video streaming platforms and utilize all their existing social pages to share this conversation for the purposes of educating the greater society about the topics discussed between myself and the host today. Furthermore, to all viewers and listeners, it is very important for you to listen, to watch, and this conversation till the end in order to avoid missing information, pieces, and puzzles that connect to form the central objective of this conversation today. Through all the channels this content will be distributed via, may this conversation reach both the ears of the expert and the non-expert in the subjects and topics discussed today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you want to take us through why did you choose to write about menopause? How is it related to you personally?
Okay, firstly, as you said that we met at the festival last year,
Yes.
I would like to applaud you for the genuine interest that you had on the subject, because
Thank you.
normally, especially when you meet men, whenever they hear menopause, their interest it just fizzles. But you kept asking questions, and that was very refreshing.
The curiosity.
And here we are today for the greater good of everybody else that is going to benefit from your curiosity that was sparked that day. Why this topic, menopause? Most of us, we grow up really not knowing about menopause because it's a hardly spoken about phase of life.
Yeah.
We always hear about puberty, we'll hear about pregnancy and all of that. But when it comes to menopause, which is the last stage of the female's reproductive cycle, we hardly hear or see faces that are linked to menopause. So when it happened to me in my 30s, I was shocked, firstly, that it can happen so early, because, I mean, even when we think about it, we think older women. When we see adverts or see anything else, we see white faces, older white faces.
Yeah.
Then my thing was like, where are the black faces? Where are the black voices? And that's where then my decision to actually say, let's raise the flag. Let us talk about this thing. It started.
Yeah.
So my own journey, and then the curiosity to say that where are the other black faces? Where are the other black voices?
Yeah. But before we even, because we're going to come to a point where we define what is menopause exactly. I know you have defined it high level right now, but we will get to that deeply. Before that, I want you to explain to me or take us through your personal experience when you were having this experience of early menopause. Or rather, was it premature or early menopause?
It was premature menopause.
Premature menopause.
Yes.
Okay, so how did it affect your life? Because when I look at a couple of symptoms as well, and what you have also said in a couple of interviews with other platforms, I realized that it almost contributed to some sort of a spiritual awakening. What would you say about that?
Okay. Firstly, before knowing what was happening, just dealing with the symptoms for a number of years, the experience was horrible. Turned my life upside down. Very bad, you know.
Yeah.
Menopause has physical symptoms, it's got emotional symptoms, it's got psychological symptoms. And normally when we speak menopause, we focus on the physical symptoms. So in my case, when the psychological ones hit, it was bad.
Oh.
And then fast track to the other side, when then I knew what was happening. I think that's when now the positives started showing up, as you talk about the spiritual awakening, and just coming on the other side, feeling like I had gone through a rebirth. And coincidentally, Japanese, their word for menopause is called konenki, which means like a second spring or rebirth and all of that. And I really love it because it speaks to it in the way that it hardly...
Did you find out about it later?
Yes, when I was now clued up about it and researching, and I was like, what are the other names for menopause for other countries, cultures, and all of that? Because with us, normally it's just menopause. And with us, it's tied with negativity. The moment you say menopause, then people assume only the worst part of it.
That you can't have babies anymore.
Yes, but when you, whenever I can imagine with the Japanese konenki, and they call it like second spring, a rebirth, then it's like something that is beautiful that is coming to the fore.
Wow.
You know? So with me, even in the book, I do touch on it, that it was a reawakening in so many ways. Firstly, how I lived my life, you know, just taking care of myself, like nutrition, sleep and all of that, things that we take for granted normally. So I had to look at holistic living and the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And then you fast track also, like I questioned so much about spirituality, because normally we get born and our spirituality is almost like predetermined by our family, by our parents, and all of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes then we just coast through life.
Especially
Never
through
really-
religion. You
Yes.
don't get to choose.
Never.
You're never given a list to say which one do you think.
No, you just get put into this pond.
Yeah.
And then you stay there because it's comfortable. But with my journey, I think so much, because as I say, with a rebirth, you look at every aspect of your life.
Yes.
And that's when I came also across that what does spirituality mean for me? How do I want to tackle it? Because I mean, with the hierarchy, normally we're thinking like you need to take care of the outer and all of that.
Yeah.
But then I needed to go inside now, live inside out. And I found that once I went that route, I became a different person.
Yeah.
In terms of being grounded, in terms of being connected, in terms of living my truth now, not my my parents' truth,
Yeah.
not my family's truth, not society's truth, but truth according to Xoli.
But how was the experience then with how you related to other people? Obviously, I'm thinking about your circle, you know, relationships, whether it's family relationships, intimate relationships, work relationship. Because going through that phase, there's a whole lot of things that change. Even your perspective around life, you know, changes. But I'm just thinking, how was your relationship with your surroundings and the people that were part of your life then?
Okay. The years of not knowing what was happening before, which is called perimenopause, the struggles, I did isolate myself so much from people that are close to me.
Isolation.
Yeah, I isolated myself because, I mean, as the symptoms worsened, I then sunk deeper into this hole that I only came out to show up for moments where I did not have a choice. And those moments are things like your work, because work you have to come, whether you're feeling up to it and all of that. Because during that time, it's not like I was physically sick that I can say, this is what is wrong.
Yes.
I'm just going through all of these things that are not good. I can tell, like, as I say, like things like heaviness, feeling sad, feeling like I'm ready to cry, you know, I'm feeling this thing that is just weighing me down.
And it's not like it's an illness that you can
No.
maybe come with a doctor's prescription or letter of approval.
Not really, because even most women, they will always say that before they know what's going on, they keep saying that something is not right, but they can't put a finger into it. Hence, it's important that we normalize this conversation so that now when somebody starts feeling that like that, then they can look maybe their age and all of that, then be able to kind of connect the dots so that they can address it appropriately. So before knowing what was happening, really my life took a deep dive in a bad way, and eventually led to suicidal thoughts.
Suicidal thoughts?
Yes, because as I say, the sadness, struggles with sleeping and all of that,
Yeah.
it leads like to psychological issues and all of that. So initially you're thinking like, okay, I'm just feeling low, I'm feeling down. But then that low and down, cutting myself socially, as I say, isolation, like lack of self-care also during that time. For example, if I did not have to go to work, then the thought of like taking a bath, eating.
Just doesn't come to mind.
It's like, no, you just want to sit in this one space. You just like sit. Hence, before I fully knew that it was menopause, at some point I thought that it's just depression, like clinical depression,
Yeah.
because the symptoms were almost the same.
Yeah.
And then now, suicidal thoughts are becoming a part of my life, right? And then I always say that God, the universe, whatever that you choose to call, intervened at the right time. Because suddenly one day I felt like the clouds just cleared. Then
And that's the interesting part, right? But I just want to understand the thin line between that, because there's a thin line. I mean, if you can just wake up in the morning and you feel that this cloud of heaviness has just dissipated. The moment between that, the transitional moment is a change making moment. So I really want to understand like your life or your state of being just before that, leading to that?
My state of being was horrible, obviously, as I say, really, really, really bad. And I can't even put it into word because, as I say, Guti, it's a source that is greater than me that was at play at that time. Because, I've been coexisting with this thing for years and I have not even done anything that is tangible to change. But suddenly, something bigger than me then intervened because it was almost like I'm waking to myself. Because before that point, when I have to show up for life, feeling the things that I was feeling, I'll be sitting with people having conversations, but I can't wait to get away from them.
You're not there.
Yes. It's almost like, that out-of-body experience. You're looking at yourself because but what is going on? Because you used to enjoy this thing. You used to enjoy with being with these people. You're loving your job and all of that. But suddenly you just like, I'm showing up, but I can't wait to be done. So that out-of-body kind of coexistent, it was a thing for a while. And then, as I say, then one day when I had been coexisting with it, entertaining so many thoughts and all of that, then something was like, you are entertaining suicidal thoughts. This is not good. This is not healthy. And then I had to backtrack as to what I've been going through. Then I channeled, jotted down everything that I had been experiencing, from the physical struggles that I've been going through, this and this.
Is that where the book came in?
Yes. And then the emotional symptoms, as I say, low mood, irritability, mood swings, and all of that.
Yes.
And then now the feeling depressed, suicidal thoughts and all of that. And then Dr. Google, I guess, being what it is, it kind of gave me an idea that I could be looking into menopause. But because the symptoms, they could be for anything, I had to go for a consultation because at my age at that time, I could not fully say that it's menopause because if you're younger than 45, you cannot self-diagnose.
And how would you say that affected you? At that time, were you already planning for a family? Did you have those things in mind? How was it?
I love that question. During that time, I had come out of a long-term relationship. Okay. So I decided to just go.
So what is long-term?
For me, it was 3 years.
Okay.
3 years of Unjolo is a long time.
It is.
3 years of Unjolo is a long time. So I felt that I needed to take time out, rediscover myself, decide also the next relationship. What is it that I want to get out of it? That's when then the conversation with self when it comes to children. Do I want to have children? Do I want to be a mother and all of that?
Yeah.
And my answer came back as a resounding no.
Yeah.
I love children and all of that, but the thought of having my own, it did not appeal to me.
Really?
So that was like, done. Okay, no children for me. But at the time when I'm having this conversation, I still do not know that menopause is already rearing its head. You understand?
Oh, wow.
So when the tests were eventually done and I knew exactly what premature menopause means and what it comes with, then I knew that even if I had wanted children, that privilege, that freedom of choice and all of that was out of the window because my body then was no longer going to be able to do that for me. So, yes.
Wow. Just to wrap up this section before we move to the next section, would you say that during your experience, it was a mixture of menopause as well as some sort of a depression that came at the same time? So you were able to, that's why you were not able to really pin it down what exactly it is.
Okay. This type of depression, climacteric depression, it is linked to menopause. For example,
So everyone who goes through menopause, they're bound to go through that type of...
Okay, let me explain to you to make it clear, especially for those that are also going to watch later.
Yes.
Puberty, it comes with periods, right? And periods, it comes with, for some women, it comes with PMS and all of that. And mood swings and all of those things, like psychological symptoms.
Yeah.
And then pregnancy also, because yet again, periods and puberty, it's a hormonal thing for women. Then they also struggle whether it's hormonal issues, including even after giving birth, postpartum depression and all of that. So menopause also one of the symptoms for some women. It is climacteric depression. So it's reproductive related depression. Women or girls during their periods, it is there for a few days maybe, because we know that periods happen for a few days.
Yeah.
And then also normally with postpartum, it is normally maybe those few months for some women just after giving birth. But menopause, because it's a longer transition, some women that will have that as a symptom, it might be longer, because then it's not like there's a break, unlike with pregnancy and periods.
Yeah.
The menopause transition, it's ongoing. And it's important as we speak about the symptoms, just like with all the other stages, to know that every woman's experience is going to be different. Experiences are individual. Some women, their periods are easy, no period pains, nothing. Others, they're mild, they struggle about this and that and that. And then others is so severe. Same as with menopause. Some women, their transition to menopause is smooth. Others, it struggles here and there. And then others, life turned upside down.
Wow.
So we cannot use a blanket approach. And also women cannot say that if Xoli's symptoms were this and that, then it means that mine are going to be this. Your
So it's
basket
unique
is
to each individual.
Yes. Hence, it's important that we become as clued up about it as much as possible, so that we don't get blindsided, because it's easy to get blindsided if you are always thinking this is how it's supposed to be. We know normally when you say menopause, hot flashes are the first thing that comes to mind. But then not every woman is going to get hot flashes. We think irregular periods. Not every woman's transition, that's the first change that is going to happen. Hence, it's important to have these conversations. It's important that we research before time. The same way that we have period preparation conversations, pregnancy preparation conversations, we should have these conversations so that,
These topics are not really taught in school that much, right? It's almost like when you get to school. So I was speaking to my woman the other day, telling her about, I'm going to be interviewing Xoli and we're going to be speaking about menopause. We never spoke about the subject before. I really never thought, it's a subject that we can speak about. But I was just asking her to see if she's really familiar with the thing. And then she said something that is really, that has been at the back of my mind since. She said, do you remember how in school they would take away, they would say boys must go out of class, or they will isolate the girls, and then it will only be females. And then that's when they would touch on maybe their periods or their puberty stages and what they can expect in their bodies and whatsoever, right? So we were actually in an argument, me and her. She was saying, no, the school needs to do more.
Yes.
But then I was like, the educational system is not that much strong in a sense that it can override moral law. Because as much as it's important, but there's still that morality thing that, okay, these are kids, they can't learn about sexuality and all of that in a moral sense. And I'm interested in finding out, what do you have to say about that?
I think there is...
well, with topics such as menopause being like the traditional thing, like the most common thing that is being taught in class.
I believe that there is a time and place for this to be brought, whether at school, whether at church, in all aspects of our lives. It just needs to be appropriate. Just like children know about pregnancy now and all of that, they do get taught like a reproductive journey, how it works. But it's appropriate to them. It's not like delve now into the actual act that the people get into for this process to happen. Just like with menopause, kids need to know enough that there is this last phase of life, so that they are aware of it, so that when they find out about it, whether it's later in life, it's not
because
like
they are definitely going to find out about
they're going to find out. And sometimes they find out not just for themselves when they go through it, but normally when menopause happens for most women, because the natural age for menopause is from the ages of 45 to 55. And then early menopause is 40 to 44. Then premature menopause is 39 and younger. Normally by those ages, women, normally are parents. They already have children. So you find that if they are hitting menopause at 45, chances are their child is either getting into puberty, adolescence. They are dealing with their own hormonal changes. Then the mom is transitioning into menopause. She's dealing with hormonal changes.
Yeah.
So they need to be able to coexist together. And also, they can be able to notice mom's transition sometimes before even mom notices it.
If
Because
they are
children,
educated.
yes, they coexist with their parents so much. They spend so much time with their parents. They can even be asking, but mommy, why are you shouting more now?
Yeah.
If maybe that is your struggle, like irritability and all of that.
Yeah.
So then they might be the one that actually raise the curtain for you. And it makes it also easy to sit them down and say that this is where I am, because they grew up and they learned at school about this last phase of life, even if they don't know the nitty-gritty. But then it is much better. I believe that we need to be the generation that is going to do better.
Yeah.
Know that there's certain subjects that used to be deemed taboo, but that are not necessarily taboo, that need to be spoken about because they are natural. I mean, menopause is a natural phase of life. It's not like a woman has done anything wrong to bring it upon themselves. So the moment it is normalized from a young age, then those girls, when they reach menopause, then they're not going to go through it in secrecy and shame. And those boys also that learned about it at school, as they coexist with those women, as you were saying, you are able to have conversations with your woman beforehand so that she knows, because even if it was to happen, I've got the right support from my partner. Because we kind of have spoken about it. I know what is also his viewpoint when it comes to talking about things that are deemed to be taboo. Men will never fall pregnant, but they understand what pregnancy entails because it's been normalized. We speak about it. But back in the days also, it never used to get spoken about. Men hardly used to be present for childbirth, but now most men
present
can be
throughout
because they understand that these are milestones and phases of life. So I really believe Department of Education, they can do their bit. Society also can do their bit. Families, it's important to have intergenerational conversations. Our parents need to be able to sit with us and let us know how do our women in our families fare so that you can have an idea.
We are getting deep now, and I'm thinking we should be able to just bring it back home for somebody who is not familiar with the subject. Let's go back and define what exactly is menopause, like in a simple way for somebody who doesn't understand the subject. But also let's take this time to also educate someone who also doesn't know different stages of menopause. Premature menopause, early menopause, post-menopause, or, all those stages.
I love how you're mentioning all of that. Like, hey, you love it.
So let's just take the time to just really give clarity to some of the listeners that are coming across this subject for the very first time. Because I'm assuming there are people that were like me, when I first came across this, and I was like, oh, really? It's a thing. Okay, yeah.
And you are a guy, and there's even women that are not as clued up about the terminologies that are tied to menopause. Hence, sometimes you'll even get questions or hear assumptions around that menopause can be cured, as if like it's a disease or something. So yes, we need to lay the foundation. So as I mentioned earlier, the life stages, that there is like a girl is born with all the eggs that they're going to have for the rest of their life. And then obviously they're shedding them through life, and then they hit puberty. Then that's when
the eggs, you mean for reproduction?
Yes, yes. And then we hit puberty, and we know that puberty comes with the changes, obviously physical changes, grow up breasts and all of that. And also we go into our periods, which means that if we have sex, unprotected sex, it will lead to pregnancy and all of that. And then there are all these other milestones along the way, whether it's pregnancy and all of that. Then the final reproductive stage now is when the opposite of puberty is happening, because you said we must make it simple, right? So the opposite of puberty is menopause.
Yeah.
So everything that I've said, that girls go onto periods with menopause, it means that the woman is approaching the end of their reproductive years, meaning that their periods are coming to an end, meaning that them being able to fall pregnant naturally, it's also not going to be a possibility.
Oh, wow.
And then the period now that is leading to this end of the reproductive years, it's called perimenopause.
Okay.
Perimenopause. And during perimenopause, that's when now these symptoms that we've been mentioning in passing, then they start happening. Because during that period, the female hormone, estrogen, which is the biggest female hormone that is responsible for of our functioning from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. It is also depleting, it's going haywire during that time. Hence now the body starts presenting with different symptoms. Symptoms are varied. As we said, every woman is different. Before research, because menopause is under researched again, that is why we hardly have these conversations, because information hardly is not available. Only now has there been like a serious effort to make sure that research is being done, information is out there. So during this transition and the symptoms, we used to get like the most spoken about symptoms, which was about like 12 or so. But as more studies were being done, the number increased to about 34. Now the list is like reaching into hundreds, because now women are raising their hands to say that during my transition, I might not have gotten hot flashes,
But
I
I got
might
this.
not had the menopause weight gain, but my experience was this. Simple things like some women, they will have their hair thinning, hair falling off. But if they are not at the expected age of menopause, then they might miss that as a symptom for themselves, because their periods are still regular. Some will start having issues like whether it's gum issues, they have like dry eyes, they go through like ringing of the ears and all of that, and dry skin and all of that. As we spoke about mood swings, irritability, they are thinking like, I'm just going through a phase, and all of that. So these symptoms, we need to be as clued up about them as much as possible, especially the unknown ones, so that we do not miss the transition or the perimenopause as it starts, because most women miss it as it starts, because then they keep treating the symptoms. For example, if they're having like UTIs, which is urinary tract infections, then they keep buying like going to the pharmacy to get something to treat it.
But those infections are caused by what?
It's more,
initially?
it's the hormonal thing, as estrogen,
okay.
I get. So then it's presenting as if, then they're wondering, "Good, suddenly, why am I struggling with all of this?" Things like your insomnia and all of that. So during, as I said, everyone is different. Others, their symptoms, they're not severe. Others, they'll say, I did not have any symptoms. And sometimes the question is, did you really have no symptoms, or you did not get the symptoms that you expected? Because we always know these.
But there's always symptoms.
Yeah, mostly there is always symptoms, because even the ones that, because I speak with a lot of women with the work that I do, they will say, in hindsight, actually, I went through this, but I did not connect it to menopause, because it was not one of those symptoms that I was expecting. For some women, they don't get hot flashes, but they get cold flashes, they get chills and all of that. So they're not going to be thinking, oh, wow, it could be their transition.
Wow.
So the last bit, because I like also putting numbers, research has said that majority of women will go through mild symptoms. Then there's a 25% that is really going to struggle. Really, really going to struggle. And that is why then we need to support every woman that is struggling and can't label them. So say, why are you being dramatic over your menopause journey? Because we are looking at maybe the other bit that I say they are God's favorite children that had it easy. And then you think that this one was easy. Why are you struggling? Because same as periods. Some girls, it's easy. Some girls, like, they miss schools for the first few days because their period pains are so hectic. And now we cannot expect every woman to say, Guti, it should be like this. And that is why we need to put our voices together, support everybody, and be mindful of the terms that we throw also, when it comes to this phase of life. So as I was saying then, is the perimenopause. It can take a few months for some women, the transition up until their period stop. For some women, it can take years. So when this is happening, the transition, it is also very important to have, obviously, conversations with the people that you coexist with, because as we said, the symptoms are psychological, they're emotional, they can affect romantic relationships, our work spaces.
Of course.
And then, so when a woman then reaches menopause, normally they say that you also need to have had, obviously, periods for 12 months straight without getting a period. Because remember, one of the symptoms that I mentioned was irregular periods.
Yeah.
So as the periods are becoming irregular, a woman can miss maybe 2 months or 3 months.
So you can only say
periods.
It's menopause if it's over a year.
That's what research says, that it needs to be a full 12 months.
Without
if it's still
experiencing
10 months, if it's still 10 months and then it shows up month 11, then you haven't reached menopause. It's almost like back to square one.
Yeah.
So if you had like a calendar, then you need to cross 12 months straight without a period. But having said that, it is important for women that are on other contraceptives that maybe then it leads them to not having their periods. Maybe they're on the loop, so they don't see their periods anyway. Then they need to be able to pay attention to their bodies to notice other changes that might be a sign to say that they are heading into menopause. So this is their transition. And as I said, I know that you want to add in, but I don't want to use this. As I said, the natural ages for menopause is from 45 to 55. And 51 being the most common age for women to hit menopause. If it happens earlier, 42, 44, it's early menopause. For 39 and younger, it's premature menopause. So those two, if you were to present with these symptoms, you can't just assume that it's menopause. You need to go for a consultation so that you do the right tests that confirm that indeed it is
premature or early.
Yes, because then there is other symptoms that might speak to things like maybe thyroid, that can be like you sweating suddenly. What if it's TB? So like there's things like your PCOS and so many other conditions. You need to be sure. You can't just self-diagnose. But if you're from the ages of 45, then you can safely deem that you are transitioning. And then on the other side, the last stage then of menopause is postmenopause, and that's where a woman is going to be for the rest of their life.
Wow.
Yes. And some of the symptoms, they might go away, some might get better, you might get new ones.
I wanted to add a lot, but then for the interest of time, let's speak about the bedroom conversation. Yeah, something that is really important in relationships, because recently I'm also doing a bit of research. It's not an academic research, but it's just a subject that I'm really interested in. Researching about the structure of a marriage, and I think I'm going to speak to Ndumiso about it. He's here.
Lovely. Ndumiso and Christian podcast.
Yes, where you the other podcast where you just visited recently.
Lovely.
Yes, so we're gonna speak about that. But let's speak about the bedroom conversation, because say for instance, hypothetically speaking, I'm married, right? And we never spoke about the issue of menopause. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm thinking, oh, this is my wife, we good, for life. Then something just pops out of nowhere. We haven't really finished even with our family planning. We're still, trying to juggle around the whole thing, and then there we are. How do we then approach that situation from a menopausal, direction?
Okay. I always say, firstly, obviously, informed equals empowered, and that's how I always sign my book.
Informed equals
empowered.
Okay.
Firstly, I always say, as women, it is our responsibility to be knowledgeable as much as possible about this phase of life.
True.
Because then we are able to then have the right conversations with our partners. And our partners, obviously, they will never experience it in the sense that we are experiencing it. But firstly, they need to know that when this conversation comes up, they need to receive it with compassion and empathy, with kindness, with love, with whatever not be like soft shock menopause, like,
Yeah.
because
And just before you continue, so I'm asking you this question also because that's where a lot of divorces happens.
yes, quite a number of divorces happen.
Yeah.
So it is important to have as much of open communication about it. Don't sugarcoat or try to dress your struggles with it, because it's research, and I'm talking about South African research, has said that 1 in 5 women will go through menopause in secret at home because they are embarrassed that my man might look at me and think that my value has depreciated. I'm no longer worthwhile in
can't
so
reproduce
many
anymore.
sense, and because of all of these symptoms, we normally speak about things like your vaginal dryness, loss of libido. Firstly, as I said, experiences are different. Some women, their libido shoots through the roof. So the moment
There's
menopause,
also loss of libido.
for some, yes. So the
Wow.
moment we mention menopause, we can't think that every woman is going to go through that. Others, they want it all the time now because that's just how their hormones are going at that time. So now also as a man, you can't be like, suddenly when you want it like 3 times a day as if it's medication, understand? So what's going on? So if they know what's going on, they're able to like seal because of this. And even those that might even be going through that, then they need to rediscover their body, find ways then to get their groove going. There is so much that we can look at. Diets plays a huge role also in terms of whether it's things like lubrication for those that are going through vaginal dryness. There is things like how you can buy your lubricants also. You can look at how you approach foreplay, maybe things that used to turn you on no longer do a thing, but you can only know if you spend time with yourself. And also then you can be able then to speak to your partner about those things. So that is why it's important for couples to have continuous conversations, so that even if you're going through that phase, he does not think that it's because you're no longer attracted to him. Because as you say, that divorce might happen because then this one is thinking, oh, this is rejection, she's no longer into me, then what do? Do I stick around? Do I go look for it out there? If is somebody that is open to polygamous arrangements, is this my opportunity to look for it and all of that? And I know that I'm speaking a bit faster because you said that we're almost out of time and the subject is broad, but it is important that couples are able to really speak about it, especially as you say when it comes to the intimacy part of it. Like what happens when you are mid-action and then a hot flash happens? Like guys ask, do I stop? Do I continue? It's for you guys to decide, because even hot flashes, they come in different levels. Others, you just get flushed and life continues. Your partner can just fan you, you keep going. Others, they get so drenched, like, get away from me, we need to remove change the bed linen. So it is important that you decide what works for you. I make an example that maybe sometimes you find that you're too tired at night. Then you can look at it, maybe learn have sex then more in the morning. Like that's how we're starting our day now, because but menopause is navigatable. We should not think and be like, oh my God, it means that my marriage is going to be turned upside down. If you're open and honest with you and your partner, then you can rediscover, connectify your marriage, find how you can make it reach that second spring for it.
Oh, wow.
But marriages should not really have to go south just because of menopause. Let them go south because they were not working. Things were not working in your marriage anyway. But menopause should not be the reason.
Wow. I can go on and on. Let's talk about the book a bit. That's how we wrap it up.
And we need to have another conversation because we did not even speak about the effects of menopause in the workplace, and it does.
And we also didn't speak about, I think you touched a bit on the positives of menopause, but I feel like we didn't do much justice. But ladies and gentlemen, if you feel that this conversation was not enough, please let me know in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to invite Xoli again, and we'll take it from here. Only if you do follow-up questions in the comment section, then it'll be much more easy.
You're saying about the book?
So talk to me about the book, and also where can people just, I see the guys are saying we only have 5 minutes left, so just tell us where can we find the book, but most importantly, what can people expect in reading the book?
Okay.
Then obviously
firstly,
you also talk about the pricing. Yeah.
I think this was the perfect example to say how broad the menopause subject is, that
It
you
is.
cannot sit for a conversation and think you're going to cover all the
Yeah,
bases.
yeah, yeah.
So the book is an extension of such. Firstly, it's my own journey. I
Okay.
really get into it. Like there's chapters that are called TMI because I really paint the picture. And then it speaks to men because they need to be as
Speaks to
knowledgeable.
men
Yeah, they need
also.
to understand about menopause, these other men's experiences and how they navigated it. It speaks to the workplace because, as I said, that we spend most of our life in the workplace, and menopause normally happens during that point. It speaks to society in general. It speaks to the church. It looks at menopause through the cultural lens. It's got academia also because a person needs to walk away really informed, clued up. And then the book is available through SA Books Online
I say books
or
online.
also directly from me. You will hopefully be able to link my
Yeah, I'll get your
handles
details
to all of
in the
that.
description. Yeah.
And it's a very easy read. It's not trying to sound clever. It speaks
too
the
big, though.
way.
I'm
No,
thinking.
it's a light. It's an easy read. I tell you, at the
Yeah.
book launch, somebody got the book in the afternoon. Come evening, she was saying that I'm already at page 100 and whatever. Because,
Wow.
I mean, the size is for a bigger font so that it's an easy read because it's a heavy subject, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
people always think, so I had to make it light and then I had to get a font that is attractive, that entices the person to say, read me some more. So don't be daunted by the size. And I state also the whys for the book, is for that woman that is sitting at home thinking that her experience is in isolation for Yena. No other woman is going through it. It speaks to the Department of Education, as we touched, the Department of Correctional Services, to look at it with how do women behind bars then fare through
Wow.
menopause during that. It's got random musings also, menopause, and somebody who's HIV positive. How do they navigate it? Is their experience the same as a woman that is HIV negative? It speaks to the in-laws because we spoke about getting married and you haven't had children or you haven't
Sure.
had the number that you wanted.
Yeah.
There's this expectation. How do you navigate it? I think 5 minutes is over.
Wow. Xoli, thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but I think it's good that we don't have more time so that we can make another date. So I'm looking at it from a optimistic point of view.
That's the only way you need to look at life. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still tuned in, this is Break It Down with Elvis, Molefi, Molf, and thank you so much for choosing this podcast. If you are happy with the type of conversations that we break down here, please leave the comment below, but most importantly, subscribe, and you can also become a member of this channel. I don't have the perks already. You can just become, a supporting member of the channel, and then later on, we'll see how we can compensate you. Thank you so much. Cheers. Until next time.